So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube? Daryl here from Z4 Games, bringing you Generaiders. Now Generaiders are a brand new art type that came out in Mystic Fighters. This is the level 9 spam sort of deck, but it does revolve around one card in particular, and that is its own personal field spell. Generaiders do have a brand new card coming out in Ignition Assault, as well as a generic support card for level 9, where you reveal a level 9 or you send a level 9 from your hand to the graveyard and draw 2 new cards. And obviously we don't get that until January, so for now, these are all the cards that we've received from Mystic Fighters, plus a little bit of additional support to kind of help the deck be playable as of right now. So, without further ado, I'm going to take you through the profile and show you exactly what we've got. So, with them being level 9s, one of their biggest weakness is that they are quite, or they can be quite bricky, which is why we do not play more than 2 of a single copy. So we play 2 Develius Generaid Boss of Iron. For those of you who don't know what the Generaiders are, they are based on Norse mythology. So obviously, you know, like 4 in the Marvel universe, you've got the 9 different realms. This is what they're all based off of. So we've got 2 of the Boss of Iron. You can only control 1 of each of these cards. So the particular cards, all of the Generaiders, basically you can only control 1 of them. Quick effect, you can tribute any number of Generaid monsters and or machine monsters special summon from your hand in defense position, exactly that many Generaid monsters and or machine monsters, all with different names from each other and from the tributed monsters. Only use each effect once per turn, or use this effect once per turn, so it's a hard once per turn. But the idea is it combos off with the field spell. During your opponent's turn, if they add a card to their hand, the field spell will trigger, letting you fill your board with as many tokens as possible, and then he can trigger, popping off those tokens to bring down your other big boss level 9 monsters. Speaking of which, we do play 2 Mardell Generaid Boss of Light. This is one that is technically considered a normal summon in the sense that through Lone Fire Blossom, you normal summon Lone Fire, and then Lone Fire can get you into this guy or this girl, and that's where you can get your level 9 started. So you can only control 1 of these. If this card is normal or special summoned, you get to add a Generaid card or plant monster from your deck to your hand except itself. You can only use each effect once per turn. So the fact that it sets you out a Generaid card is another way of getting to the field spell because it is that important. But then you do have other Generaid cards that can support your plays and move you further forward. We then play 2 Nidhogg Generaid Boss of Ice. This card is basically like your own walking solemn warning, which is awesome. So you can only control 1 of it. When your opponent would special summon a monster or monsters, quick effect, you can tribute 1 Generaid monster or a worm monster, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster or monsters. So again, coming off the field spell with your tokens are getting destroyed during your opponent's end phase anyway, so you might as well start tributing off using these effects. So the whole idea is you go into Iron, Iron then brings out your Boss of Ice. Ice can then be a walking, talking, solemn warning. We then play the 1 Nagflir Generaid Boss of Fire. You can only control 1 of it. If a card or cards you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy 1 Generaid monster or 1 Beast Warrior monster you control instead. Only use the effect once per turn. You can see that they're all different attributes and of course different types, so you can start playing. There can only be 1 as well. The only thing that slows down is the token generation. We then play 1 Hela Generaid Boss of Doom. This one's I'm disappointed in this one because I would have loved to see this as a secret. But you can only control 1 of it, and then quick effect, you treat 1 Generaid monster or zombie monster, then target 1 Generaid monster or zombie monster in your graveyard with a different name than the tributed monster had on the field, and special summon that monster in defense position. We then play 1 Frody. I like to call him Frodo. This card is probably going to be cut when we get the new card, but again, you can only control 1 of it, and quick effect, you can tribute any number of Generaid monsters and or warrior monsters, then target that many monsters on the field. Destroy them, then your opponent can draw cards equal to the number of cards destroyed, monsters destroyed on the field. So this is the one thing I really hate about this deck is it all relies on getting your opponent to search or allowing your opponent to draw through your own effects. Now obviously, if your opponent draws something good, amazing, they're going to kill your board. If they don't, then it's great. But still just taking that risk of letting them draw cards is not something that I would honestly personally like to do. But the hope is that they just can't break your board once you've established it, and they can't get past your level 9s, especially because they do not lock you into anything particular, which means you can abuse VFD. Now the last level 9 that we play is the one Nightmare Incarnation Idly. The reason we play this is because level 9 monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is awesome. Now it's very rare you'll use either of the other two effects. But if it is special summoned while your opponent controls more Link monsters than you do, which again, highly possible, you then get to send all Link monsters on the field to the graveyard. So it's a nice little board wipe, but it's also there to protect your other level 9 monsters. The only normal summon monster that we do play is Lone Fire Blossom, just because you tribute one face-up plant monster and then you special summon one plant monster from your deck. So it's 3 options of getting into your Medell, which is kind of gets you your level 9s going, and like I said, gets you into that more all-important field spell. We then played triple Generaid Boss Quest. I love the artwork on this, absolutely stunning artwork. So you get to reveal 1 Generaid monster in your hand, and if you do, add up to 2 Generator spell or traps with different names from each other from your deck to your hand, except itself. Then place a revealed card on the bottom of your deck. You only activate 1 Generaid per turn. Now, obviously, the whole idea of this, when you activate it, is that you're either going to be searching out one of the traps, which I'll go through when we get to them, or mainly, like I said, it does revolve around the field spell, so you want to get to that. Speaking of the field spell, we do play 3. I only do own 2 copies as of right now. I will try and pick up my 3rd one before... But basically, once per turn, if a card or cards is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during a damage step, you can special summon 1 Generaid monster from your deck in defense position. If you special summon a Generaid monster during your opponent's turn, except during a damage step, you can special summon as many Generator tokens, Fairy, Light, level 4, 1500 attack, 1500 defense as possible in attack position, but destroy them during the end phase. Even if this card leaves the field, you can only use each effect once per turn. So the whole idea is you're getting a Generaid, one of your bricks out of your deck, back onto the field, which is why this is so important. The only downside is you are putting 1500 attack tokens on the board in attack that your opponent, if they've got the right board, can easily break, destroy it, and win from there. We do play triple Dark World Demons. This is just to kind of trigger your Generaid boss, or your Generaid field Generaid field card. my field spell, there we go. So this is to trigger that. It doesn't need to be played, you can take this out for any other spaces, and I'll show you, because I actually do have 5 alternative cards and there are 6 remaining spaces in the deck that I'll explain to you later. We then play triple World Legacy Monstrosity. This card is busted. So you target a level 9 monster you control, special summon from the deck 2 level 9 monsters with different original types and attributes. So absolutely amazing and easy to do. Can't attack and destroy them during the end phase. Who cares? You're either going to go straight into your new Jorgen, or you're going to go into your VFD. I mean, if you have the ability to go into Link monsters and then make 2 VFDs, wow, you're going to stun your opponent and pretty much win the game from there. We're going to play the 1 Terraforming to search out the field spell because it is at 1. The 1 Generator Boss Loot. So while you control a token, your opponent's monsters cannot target Generator effect monsters for attacks. If a Generator effect monster is destroyed by battle, your opponent draws 1 card. So the whole idea is that you play this, and then you've got the field spell. Field spell is going to trigger during your opponent's turn to summon 4 tokens. Your opponent then has to get rid of the 4 tokens before they can get rid of your boss monster, and kind of go from there. Then, because we do not really rely on our extra deck at all, we do play triple Pot of Extravagance for additional draw cards. Now, obviously, when we get the new level 9 Ditch and Draw card, this one will be coming straight out for that. Then, moving on to the traps, we do play triple Generator Boss Fight. Again, love the artwork on this. Would love to have seen this in secret. So you get to activate 1 Generator field spell directly from your deck or graveyard. Then your opponent draws 1 card. So the idea is, let me just check. No, so it's not all in one, but I'm pretty sure the field spell goes on the separate chain. So you would activate this, bring out the field spell, opponent will draw a card, then on a new chain your field spell will go off because they've added 1 from their deck to the hand, and then you summon tokens or summon a monster. Not 100% sure on that one, but I believe that's how it's supposed to operate. We've then got 1 Generator Boss Room. So when your opponent activates a card or effect, in response to the activation of your Generator card or effect, you can discard 1 card, then your opponent activated effect becomes each player draws 1 card. So it gives you a lot of protection to your cards and a lot of extension, and they lose their effect of whatever effect they're trying to use. They're going to turn into a draw. Then that draw could then turn into a free summon for yourself or extension of your own board. Now, at this point, the deck is only sitting at 34 cards, I believe. And the reason for that is I am still umming and ahhing about 5 different cards that I want to put in. Now, the 5 cards you can put in are Call by the Graves, just so you get a bit more consistency when you're searching out your field spell, when you're going through your Lone Fire Blossom. You've got your Phantasme just as additional extension should you need it. A Permanence just for a bit of disruption. And then, of course, Ash Blossom again for a disruption. This can be any hand trap you want. And an alternative, what you do have is Super Poly. Now, Super Poly is probably the one that I would want to put in at 3 more than anything. And then have Disruption cards of either Impermanence or Ash Blossom, anything like that. Just because, again, you do not rely heavily on your extra deck. You can make this deck go second. The only reason I don't want to main the Super Poly is because I want to go first, because it has a bit more control capabilities in it, especially when you're going to put the field spell, they're going to do something, you're going to fill the board up with tokens, and then you're going to be relying on your Solemn Warning monster just to go, no, 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 pop, disrupt, the whole 9 yards. But Super Poly is obviously going to be a very, very good card if you want to be going both first and or second, just because you can easily go, all right, I'm going to activate my effect here. I'll let them build their board without getting rid of the back row. I'm then going to punish you by going into a Super Poly target. Now, if there was a Super Poly target that is level 9, that is consistent, because obviously Venom is an 8, if there's something a little bit more consistent, then I would advise going for that. But for now, you are just going with the generic ones, which then means you would have to link them off before you go into your VFD, which is what you ideally want to be targeting in this deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we do play 3 Jorgamunda Generator Boss of Entity. Absolutely looks awesome, as you can see. It requires 2+ level 9 monsters, only control 1 of it. This card's original attack and defense become 1,000 times its number of materials. Quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card. Each player draws 1 card. Then each player that drew attaches 1 card from their hand or field to this card. Only use the effect once per turn. So you each draw and then you're attaching. So you're going to nick one of your opponent's attachments. Whether it be a card that they drew or whether it be one that's already in their hand, you're still reducing their advantage. We've then got double Phantom Fortress Enter Blathnia as an alternative to ripping a card from your opponent's hand, banishing a card on the field, or removing 1 from the grave. We've then got double Infinitrack Earth Slicer. Now the reason this one's so cool is because it is easily made 2 level 9s, and when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can attach that monster to this card as material. Only use each of the following effects once per turn, so you get to detach any number of materials from this card, then target that many cards on the field and destroy them. It's a 3100 beater, 2100 defender, and then if this card is in your graveyard, you can treat 1 machine link monster, special summon this card in defense position. Now, we don't play any of the link monsters to revive it, or the machine monsters to revive this, but if you wanted to, you could do. We've then got double True King of All Calamities VFD. If you want to play a third, by all means you can do so. Everyone should know what this does. This is just a 3k stunner during your turn and your opponent's turn, and you kind of move the plays further forward from there. You stun your opponent with this after you flood the board with level 9s, and then if you're going to add to that board with your tokens plus any of your generated monsters that can trigger during your opponent's turn, they're going to have a bad time. Now the remaining 6 cards again comes down to if you're going to main Super Poly, then I would double each of these up. So I'd play 2 Starving Venom, 2 Mud Dragon, and 2 Predaplant Dracus Apelio, or alternative targets for these. So obviously you can go for the triple-headed Predaplant, you can also go for your Violet Chimera, anything that you feel is going to be noticeable, bump them up if you want to. Alternatively, what I'm going for here is just some generic link monsters to clear off my extra monster zone should I need to. This is more for the generic. These are just for getting cards out of my hand and then getting additional effects off. You can, of course, use unicorns and other things like that. But what you've got to remember is the tokens are only going to be on the board during your opponent's turn, so you can't use those as additional link fodder. And once you're spamming the board with level 9s, it's going to take a very, very special link monster for you to go, alright, I'm willing to get rid of my board of 3 to 4 level 9 monsters that are obviously going to have additional effects, whether they be control or disruption, to go into this one particular link monster. So you want to be very, very careful and understanding the way you want to move forward with that version or with that play and kind of go from there. So that is it for the profile. I'll quickly go through, like I said, all the cards that we have currently got are in here. The key cards for disruption, of course, is this guy right here. But the key card of the deck that if you're facing against it and you want to hit is this one here. You need to stop their field spell going off. So when they trigger to use tokens, obviously you can Ghost Ogre it, but then it will still keep the tokens on board because it does have that built-in effect. When they're summoning from deck, that's when you want to try and ash it and stop it and slow it down. And then obviously they've got a walking, talking, solemn warning with a 2600 defense. The main card that they'll get onto the board the first time will either be the Boss of Iron or the Boss of Light, just because they're going through their Lone Fire. But 9 out of 10, if they've done their Lone Fire play, you know they're going into this. If you ash the Lone Fire, they're going to struggle to move any further forward. So, that is basically it for the Generaiders. I hope you liked it. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas for your own personal build. You can change this up as well. There is no rock steady way of playing this as of right now. There's a lot of variation and a lot of variety that you can technically play around with. So by all means, if you do have any questions, put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. Or if you do have any suggestions, again, please put them down in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to look over them and maybe even adapt them to the build as we go. But for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. And until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling.